how does technical debt impact product backlog prioritization and management? Well, there's two separate things there. There's managing the backlog and there's prioritizing it. And we're going to have to tackle them differently. But first of all, what is technical debt? So technical debt is not things you haven't built yet. It's not things that you built correctly in the past, but technology's moved on and now you'd rather do it differently. It's the things you said you did to the quality that you profess, they didn't. You know, those corners that you cut because it was late or you were just having a bad day. Okay? Those things aggregate slowly. Technical debt builds inside a system until suddenly it's all there and it's terrible. And you can't move because of it. It's difficult to get stuff done. So technical debt is just going to happen. As humans, we have bad days. We do end up in a rush. Okay? The best disciplined people in the world have an off day. Okay? So how does that impact our backlog? How does it impact our prioritization, our ordering, our managing of the backlog? Well, there's two key things to think about. One, how do we manage the technical debt? Okay? And how you manage it does then impact how you prioritize in your product backlog. And I'll give you 3 ways that I see things being managed. My least favorite, we'll start there, the hardening sprint, the refactoring sprint. A team stopping adding value to the product so that they can fix stuff that they didn't do a great job on previously. Okay? I'm not a fan of it. It's sometimes necessary, but I'm not a fan of it because you're not progressing the product. Your velocity is technically 0. You're adding nothing for that person who's paying the bills. The way that I think of it is you put your car in the garage for a service in the morning. You know, you get there at 8 a.m. saying you drop it off. And you get that phone call just after lunch with the bill. You pay the bill. You cry a little bit into your credit card. 6 o'clock in the evening, you turn up to pick up your car and it's sat in the same spot. It hasn't moved all day. It's not been touched. Not only is it not moved, it's not been serviced. The thing you paid for, you didn't get. However, when you look at the mechanics' office, their garage, their workshop, whatever you want to call it, it's beautiful, sparkling. Everything's clean, put away properly. Everything that should be oiled is oiled. Everything that's not meant to be oiled doesn't have oil on anymore. They've fixed everything in their workspace. But they haven't fixed yours, car. That, unfortunately, is for me a refactoring sprint. That's a hardening sprint. You're turning around to a product owner and going, we can't do our job properly, so you should pay us to fix all the problems that we've created. Oh, you're not getting anything for this, other than the understanding that we'll be able to work better in the future. But we're not going to promise that we will either, because we got into this state and we think that you're going to bail us out of it. Good luck selling it. Short answer. I'm not a fan of it. Okay, sometimes it is just necessary. You inherit a system, you take a look at it and you think, you know what, we can't do anything without breaking something. Just stop. We need to fix some of this before we get started. Okay, I'll accept it then. I'll try and be gracious. I think it's an evil, but it might be a necessary evil. Next in line for me is adding things to the backlog. Okay, so adding tech deck items to the backlog. Nothing wrong with this. Okay, well within both the idea of Scrum and the values and principles of the world of Agile. Make the work visible, understandable, and then you can prioritize it against all the other work. Okay. The issue I find with this is developers tend to put the stuff on the backlog that they care about. Okay? Not necessarily the stuff that's important. Okay? And if they're honest, they would flood the backlog with tech debt items and you wouldn't be able to see the product progress for fixing problems, because there's lots of tech debt in most systems and most of it isn't worth fixing. And this is the thing that makes it in the middle of my list of 3 is now your product owner has to make decisions about the impact of technical work versus product work. And most product owners aren't qualified or particularly interested in doing that. And so they'll either ignore it and you wasted your time putting it in the backlog, or They'll let the developers decide what's important. And then what are they doing for a living? How are they making sure that you build the right product? So you can do it, okay, it's not terrible. Make sure that your product owner has a way of understanding and playing that trade-off between progressing technical debt and progressing the product. Technical debt, to be clear, is investing in the future, because the less of it, the faster we can go. The higher the quality of your product. So it is an investment, don't get me wrong, it's not completely wasted time. But the team have already claimed the value for it. They said they did it correctly in the past, and they didn't. And now it's come back to bite them on the bum. My favourite way of dealing with technical debt doesn't use the backlog at all. Well, I suppose it does kindly. Slow the team down. If your team is producing technical debt, whatever your measure of technical debt is increasing, sprint on sprint, the team is going too fast. They're not able to work to the quality standard that they set. And let's remember this, it's on the team to set the quality standard. They're the professionals, they're the experts in this, and they can't meet it. They need to slow down. I think of this as, certainly I did as a child, when you start running down a hill, you think you're in control. By the end of the hill, you know you're not, and you're hoping you don't fall over. This is what they're doing. And they're going to accelerate into a problem, because the more technical debt they create, the more problems that appear, the more technical debt they create. And it becomes a downward spiral. So we, as Scrum Masters, need to recognize that and pull the team back up and out of the detail and present the data. Tell them the story of how they've come here and of where they're going. And slow them down. Just a bit, just enough, so they can build everything to the quality they're meant to. And relearn where that is. Learn how to work to the quality that they profess as professionals. And once they've relearned that, slow them down again. Because now we have to fix the problem. Okay? We've stopped it. Okay? This is damage control. Step 1 in damage control, stop putting holes in your boat. Only once you've learned that you putting holes in your boat is the reason your boat's sinking, can we go through the step 2 of now start plugging the holes. And that second slowing down is starting to plug holes. What I want your team to do is everywhere that they work, every new item on that backlog that they take on, be it a bug, be it a new feature, be it a bit of documentation, I want them to make every area that they touch up to the quality standard that they say, that definition of done in the Scrum world. Okay? I want them to rebuild their quality in the areas they're working on now. They've already solved the new stuff. The new things being added are already being built to that quality standard. That was stopping putting holes in your own boat. This is now patching those holes. Okay? When you go in and you realize a thing isn't written as well as it could be, you refactor it. You tidy it up. You pull it back into the right shape. Think of it also like a Boy Scout. Boy Scout, when they're walking through nature, they're thinking, how do I leave this as good as I found it, if not better? Do that with the code base, do that with your product. So every developer's walking through their product thinking, how do I improve this area that I'm working in? Many people then turn and say, yeah, but what about the areas they don't touch? Well, here is the simple beauty of the approach. The things that matter you're going to be told to fix. You're going to be changing them because there are bugs created, or you're adding new features, new functionality to your product. The quality in those areas is going up. You're going to increase it to an acceptable level for your product, or what you consider acceptable today. The areas that you don't touch were good enough. Nobody's changing it. It's working. Nobody's raising bugs. Nobody's crying out loud. Because if they were, you'd be fixing it. So what I found is this is actually the best way to manage technical debt, is slow the team down and then slow the team down again so that they can rebuild the quality, they can learn how to do this and then bring everything up to scratch. The areas that they change frequently because they're high in bugs or they're the current area they're being worked on were brought up to the fullest quality standard that you can think of. The areas that you worked on 10 years ago but nobody's touched since, they were good enough. You can live with it. You've put your focus on the important things. So when it comes to technical debt, I know this is a bit of a longer one, but the trick is to work on the stuff that matters to the product. And the stuff that matters to the product is the things you're working on today. Bring those up to the quality standard. Down the line, there will be bugs raised for other areas. And when they're raised there, raise the quality over there. Okay? What I found is doing this, you don't need to worry too much about your product backlog. You are going to go slower. Okay? While you re-establish that quality, while you re-establish the discipline, the rigor of being great developers, you're going to go slower. But in the long run, you're going to be able to go so much faster. It is investing in the future. Okay? And you don't have to worry about it as part of the backlog. You don't have to explain to a product owner, this matters for this highly technical reason that I'm sorry I baffled you with. You just say, this is a rough area, we're going to have to spend more time fixing it up. But you will pay dividends later. It's not good enough now. What I want from developers is what I expect from every professional that I work with. Work to the standards that are accepted. If I went to a mechanic, that wonderful mechanic I mentioned earlier, and he didn't bother tightening all the nuts on my wheels after he changed a tyre, I wouldn't use him again because he hasn't done the professional quality standard. That's all I'm asking of developers. Set your standard, set your stall out, and meet it. Every time, without question. Okay? Because why would I come back to you if you didn't?